So, Yagya, how's life after boards, after college applications?
I mean, I got to say, I'm not feeling as productive as I used to feel,
Sure.
as I was feeling maybe until February or something. But then I think life's been good so far because I've started going to the gym again, which is a big thing.
Okay. So let's rewind a bit, okay?
Yeah.
You joined our school in 10th grade, right?
8th grade.
8th grade.
2020. Online.
Oh, the first year was online.
Yes.
So where were you before then? What kind of student were you before that?
So before that, I was in Yagya Dhingra, deepest Indrapuram.
Okay.
And so nursery till 7th grade was just over there. But I think how I was as a student, I think it was pretty similar. Of course, there was a slump which happened with me in the 9th grade,
Okay.
2021, because I mean, all of us were like,
Yeah.
we were trying to adapt to this whole system of online. I mean, 1 year had already passed, but
Yeah.
still, that whole thing of laziness and stuff was taking in. But then, until the 8th grade, I think I was a pretty obedient.
So take me to high school. You joined our school, 11th, 12th online khatam, right? So did you see any change when you came from your school? Where were you before?
DPS Indrapuram.
Indrapuram. Okay. So did you see any change, any kind of shift in your school life when you came to this school?
I mean, when it started, especially in 2022, it was of course a much bigger school.
Yeah.
And then one more thing that I for sure can say is that the competition is healthier and it is more as well.
Oh,
So
okay.
people like you, other people in the council and otherwise also. I think the cohort, the group of people is really, really good. So it pushes you to do better yourself in that way.
So how did you find yourself academically, extracurriculars, socially when you shifted school? What helped you to make your presence?
I think talking, something as simple as talking can really help, because sometimes we feel that it can be difficult to break the ice, break the barrier.
Yeah.
Then once you try to connect with people past that barrier, I think it becomes easier for you to be identified, because the word spreads about you, right? So whether it's with friends, teachers, even when it was online, I think that really helped. So
Because a lot of students, when they change schools, right,
Yeah.
they feel underconfident, like they don't belong somewhere, right? So they become introverted, and that's not good for their personality in the long run.
for sure,
Right?
For sure.
So that's something I think the school environment really helps you to cope up with.
Yes.
Right? What is the one school memory that you think you'd take on for the rest of your life?
One school memory.
Yeah.
There's so many of them. The shirt signing day, the scribble day that we
the
had.
scribble day we had.
Yeah, that was a good day. That was, I think, it was a good moment. It was
Moment,
overwhelming for
yeah.
many people also. But I think that's the day that I finally realized that we're actually transitioning to this other phase of life and stuff. So
And actually, I think that was the one day when no one cared about what their past experience with the person was, right?
for sure.
We didn't care about any fights we had or any baggage we had with that person. We were like going into a new phase of our life.
Right.
So, what role did your friends play in what you are now, right? Friend circle, teachers, your environment.
As you're saying, I mean, you mentioned a very important part about fights and baggage of what had happened in the past. I think all those memories, whether good or happy, have really helped me to push myself forward, and these healthy relationships with all these people. I think, as we had talked about in the beginning as well, they've helped me find myself, find my niche, if you may, right? Let's probably break it down in terms of friends first and then teachers. I mean, of course, having people to talk to about what you're going through, because it can be really overwhelming, these 4 years of high school, or let's maybe subtract one because 9th was online, right? It can be really overwhelming. A lot of stuff is happening in school. People are coping up with higher amounts of syllabus, stress, and of course there are many other things like regular teenage stuff also happening. So finding someone to talk to, get that baggage off is really, really important. And I think I've been, touch wood, I've been really blessed that way. And when it comes to teachers, well, I think most of my teachers have been very, very forthcoming, very helpful. So that ice usually was there in the beginning, that this is the teacher, would he or she really be able to understand me or not. For some teachers it remained till the end, but soon I realized, there is actually a human connect, and they've actually taught me, they've actually nurtured a good sense of belongingness within the school. So that's really helped me. So the environment is really positive, I would say.
Yeah, and I think especially in our school, most of the teachers, they are really trying to help us at the end of the day. Right?
Towards the end, for sure.
Because we feel like they won't understand us or something like that. But in this new generation that we're coming into right now, most of the teachers, I feel like they understand that we are not in the same generation, we don't belong in the same generation, and we have our differences. So do you think your friend circle or the people around you should have the same ambition as you?
Ambition is it's a very good word, but that ambition can also be really different for many people. It can be really fluid.
Yeah.
For me, to be say a career in maybe like economics or for example politics, it's something that I've been getting really interested in day by day. But then for you, it might be something different. You mentioned architecture, I think, a while back. So, but yeah, you know, when they have the same level of dreams and capabilities being identified, then I think that always helps you.
Let's change the word to mindset, right?
Mindset. It's a very good word. Yeah.
So should, like, the friend circle around you, the people around you should have the same mindset as you, because I feel like that you should always hang out with people who are more successful than you in any terms, maybe extracurriculars, academics, or they have a different perspective than you, because then they kind of push you to think in a different way about everything.
Yeah, right? And I think this thing that you said is really important, and I think I've realized that, and I've been pondering over this for the past, I think, since this year began, that it's really important to choose the right friends as well.
Yeah.
Because you may be thinking in a very rash manner when you're in this when you're at this very vulnerable age, and you might want to choose some friends as compared to the others. But at the end of the day, say 2 or 3 years later, when you're 20, 21, you're actually going to realize that some decisions that we took when we were 16 or 17 were stupid.
Yeah.
Well, they're not stupid. You were just wired that way. But now, I mean, you're going to learn. You're going to eventually keep learning, and as you said, develop a strong mindset also. So just having the right friends for that is a very important thing.
Have you ever felt like you outgrew some people?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Throughout your school journey?
Yeah.
Do you think that has an effect on how you turn out as a person at the end of school life?
Yeah, I mean, because it's a big school after all. And not only that, but there are a variety of people in the school.
Yeah.
And when you're going through so many changes as a teenager, as an adolescent, then you're bound to develop new interests, just fall out of track of other interests, and gel more with people who have the same new interests as yours. So yeah, that has happened with me, but I wouldn't say that I've completely lost track with them. But I think where I am now, they've also been a part of the journey. So,
so like as you said, we are at a very vulnerable age right now. So I tend to think of people as side characters in my story. So a lot of the times I outgrow them because maybe it's a change in my mindset, the way I think, or maybe we were bound to meet and help each other in that phase of life, but now I have to do something else. And that way, because in high school, right, so many people get distracted because there's so much drama except academics and extracurriculars, right? You know, there's so much of drama in friends and relationships and so much that they get distracted from what they are actually supposed to do in those 2 years, right? So I think what helps is to always remember at the back of your mind what your end goal is, right? Because you have to keep moving towards what your end goal is.
Absolutely. I mean, I think what helps me also is that often I've started this thing of writing everything down, like what I want to do. If I end up getting distracted, which I do sometimes, I just write it on my whiteboard and I'm like, yeah, this is what I have to do at the end of the day, so let's try to follow it as much as possible.
So let's talk about leadership responsibilities and extracurricular activities.
Well, I play the violin.
So
I've cleared a bunch of exams for that also. Been doing that since I was in the 4th grade and stuff.
So do you think the leadership roles or extracurricular activities you were into, they shaped you more than the academics did?
I think they really aided in the process because there needs to be a balance of both. And you know, this one thing that my dad says, which when he says it might sound very irritating and daunting, but it does make sense at the end of the day, that if your students, our karma is to finally study and get a good grade. We have to accept that, be tough about it. But if even after doing all of that, studying, getting decent grades, we're able to take out time for stuff in a way that we're able to give back to society or learn stuff which is outside of the curriculum, I think we're starting to get pretty sorted for life as well.
Because we learn those soft skills which we need later in life. Right?
For sure.
So for you, the first priority is academics, because that's what we're supposed to do.
Because that's like hygiene. Get it out of the.
Do you think that playing instruments or getting into some kind of stress relief, it helps you as a student?
I think so. It's pretty cathartic. Because any sort of music, I think music is like a common coping mechanism anyway, and anywhere. You might be sad, you might be happy, going through a lot of different emotions. Music helps you. That's for me particularly. It's really worked out. So playing the violin, especially during the lockdown stuff, really helpful experience.
So coming to college applications now, right? So what colleges did you apply to abroad, India?
Right. So in India, I'm appearing for the CUET next month for DU primarily.
So for what countries?
Yeah. So in the US, two of them, UCLA and UC Berkeley.
Okay.
UCLA, I got waitlisted about 3 weeks ago, and I got an offer from UC Berkeley 2 weeks ago, and I'm still waiting on in US and NTU in Singapore.
Oh, so what about your backups? Is CUET is your main goal, or CUET is a backup for you?
Oh, for a long time it was almost equal, but now I'm actually I'm not able to understand what to do with it, but I'm still taking it with as much preparation.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not for sure my number one as it was maybe 3-4 months.
Okay. So you're a bit more inclined towards going abroad now.
Yeah, I mean, now that I have an offer from Berkeley,
yeah.
I might be considering that a bit more than the others.
And you had commerce, right? So why commerce?
Because chemistry. I don't want to do chemistry.
Oh,
I've always been a pretty big calculus, physics guy, like motion, like machines, but I could not do chemistry. I didn't want to do that.
Like you didn't like chemistry, but because of that you couldn't even study physics.
Yeah,
right?
It became a bit rigid.
Yeah, because in Indian education system, it's the subjects are boxed up together, and if you want to study physics, you have to study chem and maths with it, or chem or bio with it. And if you want to study business studies, for example, or accountancy, then you have to study the whole package that comes with commerce. Right? So do you think IB board does a better job at giving you different options?
I think to some extent yes, because you get to explore like a variety of subjects. There's more diversity in your curriculum. But at the same time, I'd say, doing a combination, like for example, physics on one end and history on the other.
Yeah.
Of course, it helps you explore a variety of topics, but maybe having a clarity as to what career you want to pursue becomes kind of, as in that gets lessened. It becomes kind of vague. But again, it depends on where you want to apply at the end of the day. If you want to go to the US, then I think the IBDP is a good approach, is a good pathway, because you would know that, as you wouldn't know what to do at the end of the day. So yeah, but if you want to go to the UK, maybe taking an A-levels or even CBSE or ISC, that's my view on it.
Yeah. So what guided your college options or college choices?
Guided as in...
how did you decide where to apply?
Oh, multiple factors. I mean, a lot of alumni, I guess, from us, any of our seniors who graduated last year. So I was in touch with them, like a lot of other people. So talking to them constantly, getting some feedback. One of my closest neighbors, she just got, she went to UCL last year. So yeah, with her. Otherwise, yeah, some testimonials online. There's a plethora of resources, so YouTube, everywhere. So yeah.
So the students who are still confused maybe in high school or 9th, 10th, who don't know where they want to go or what they want to study, what do you think? How do they explore themselves? How do they start exploring things?
Well, wouldn't lie to them, right?
Yeah.
Especially if they're in the 12th grade. If they're in the 11th grade, they still have 2 years to actually not only enjoy, but to discover their options. But if you're in the 12th grade, I'd say start jotting things down, because for me, because I was still not aware about what I really wanted to apply for, because I was hell-bent on the UK towards the beginning of the 12th grade. When I started jotting things down, I was like, I'm actually not really sure. And I discovered this thing that there's the CUET thing where you can take a variety of subjects. So that jotting things down has really helped me, that habit. Apart from that, I think every big school nowadays has a guidance counselor, a college applications counselor. I think it's really important to go and just talk with them. Because the kind of guidance and chats that I had with my college counselor at school, our college counselor, if I may, I think they really helped me, because whatever projects I wanted to do, whatever internship here and there I might have taken up, I think I got a pretty clear idea about what to do because of talks with her. So yeah. And whatever work you would have done, I would have done, anybody else, I'm talking about this in general, it should never go to waste. I mean, this especially goes out to all those people who are doing their JEE exams and all those things. Don't ever feel that any kind of hard work is wasted just because you've not been able to crack that one particular college that you've always wanted, that dream college, right? Because you have a lot of targets to show. There was this reel that I was watching on Instagram that you're not able to hit the JEE target because all these targets are flying at different higher targets. So wonderful. I think that's a wonderful perspective. It might be difficult to process that reality now, but I'm so hopeful that with the kind of skill that, I mean, a lot of students, especially, and I'm not being biased, but a lot of the aspirations that Asian students, like East Asian and South Asian students have, I think we're going to go places, and I'm really hopeful.
So what matters at the end of the day is hard work. right? The work you put in, it helps you right now or later in life.
And I'm saying plan, but don't be so rigid that it pulls you down when you've not been able to achieve what you actually wanted to achieve. So
okay. So you mentioned Berkeley, just now, right?
Yeah.
What major did you apply at Berkeley?
So I applied with linguistics as my first major and economics as my alternate major.
So let's talk about linguistics for a while, right? From what I know, you're really passionate about languages. How many languages can you speak?
So I speak about around 6 to 7 languages, 5 with good amount of fluency.
That's a very big number for one person, right? But what I think is, like in school, when we study a language, in CBSE curriculum, they tend to focus a lot more on written things and the grammar of the language we're studying, instead of actually speaking skills, right? Because I studied French for about 8 whole years, right? But I still cannot speak it fluently. Because those 8 years, the only thing they were teaching me was how to write, where to put a comma, where to put this accent or something like that, which actually doesn't matter in real life.
And the formats of letter.
The formats, like it doesn't matter at the end of the day. What matters is when you go to a different country, can you speak that language fluently? Can you speak it in a way that they understand, right? I can't go there and write everything for them.
For sure.
So I think that's where our CBSE curriculum lacks a lot. But you did it yourself, right? 6, 7 languages, it's a very big number. How did that passion for languages start for you?
I think I had a knack for it, I have to be honest. The first, or the earliest foreign country trip that I remember would be to the UAE, and that's when I came across Arabic as a language, and the script really fascinated me because it looked funky, it looked cool, right? Then I picked up a book of Arabic, came home, then I picked up Urdu because my grandfather he can understand Urdu. He was born in Sialkot, Pakistan. He came to India post-partition, right? So then Urdu became a thing, and at that time, Spanish had also become a thing because I started learning it formally in school and stuff. So that my interest aided with a lot of other factors also, because I think my family also, I would say it's pretty linguistically diverse also. Minimum, everyone in my family, so me, my mom, dad, Dadaji, minimum we speak 3 languages for sure. For me, well, because I was learning something in school, and then what happened in the lockdown was that I enrolled for this course which was being offered online from Seville in Spain. That was like 6 months of pure immersion. The Spanish that I knew before that versus the Spanish that I imbibed after that. I think know and imbibe, 2 different words I would use, completely different. I mean, I picked up the accent and all also. So that was like a defining moment. So yeah, immersion has again really helped me. So I don't count that as an academic activity, as an extracurricular activity. I just count that as a way of life now, that I try to immerse myself. I try to become a bit uncomfortable, because it's always comfortable to watch a Netflix series in your own language, say English or Hindi. Get uncomfortable, put the subtitles on in that particular language and the audio in that particular language. You might, in some time, not might, I think you would be able to grasp pretty well.
What fascinates you about different languages?
Just generally, I think I'm outgoing, so it's easy to talk to people, connect with people, and just getting to know about culture, food, very important part. So, like for example, last year I had gone for a vacation to Portugal. So there it was just every outing that we used to have at Portugal, I would be next to the driver, and just be speaking with him or her.
And it builds your confidence as well.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Because when you are in a new environment, for example, going abroad, and you know their natural language, their local language, and you can speak to the locals in a way that they are comfortable with you and you're comfortable with them. So it gives you immense confidence to go up to someone and talk to them, right?
And I think also leave a part of your own culture with them.
Yeah, sure.
I think wherever I've gone, I've always carried that Indian identity with me. That there's this warm cultural thing that we have, and we're accepting of everything and all that stuff. So.
But applying to linguistics as a major, it's very unconventional, or I would say a risky choice, right? As a career pathway. So do you think schools nowadays, they provide you with enough support or enough backing to actually make you think about going into these unconventional majors or careers?
I think in India for sure, that thing on a large scale, it's still, there's like a dearth of that. Not a lot of schools, the majority of schools are not providing that. But you come to cities like say Gurgaon, Noida, multiple big cities. I think the culture has started. And while the acceptance for these kinds of subjects and careers is increasing, you might have been hearing the news about different political circumstances in different countries where people are like, you don't need this, you don't need this career, you don't need this particular degree. We need more plumbers and more electricians, more people who can do vocational jobs and earn a living. Well, while that is true, there will be a need for everything in society because at the same time we have to accept the fact that we're going through mass changes in our attitudes, mental health problems. So there would be certain careers which would have to remain. And while it comes to linguistics also, of course, that's primarily the reason why I've applied to the US in linguistics particularly. Otherwise, everywhere else is economics or something other potentially lucrative. There's this risk or this fear always that AI translating apps are always there. What would you achieve finally? But then that's the best part of the US. You can choose your degree, you can choose what you want to do later, and I'm just going to decide that because that fear is there. For sure.
And society plays a very important role in this, I feel like, because the respect in India for these vocational jobs like plumbing or electrician, it's not as much as for an engineer or a doctor, right? But when you go to Germany, they earn as much money as an engineer would, right? So their education system is as such that in 6th grade, they give you an option. Either you go to the vocational training thing or you go to the normal science and commerce degree backgrounds. And at the end, both the careers earn the same. So I think it's really linked to how much you earn. Your respect is really linked to how much you earn in countries like India.
Right. I think, there's this, as you're saying, I was talking about these things, I think we're still currently not at a very evolved state right now because if I may quote something like this psychologist thing that we study about in business studies as well, again, I'm quoting business studies, I like that subject, that there's this thing called the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that at the bottom, at the absolute bottom, the basic level needs, they have to be fulfilled so that you can get to the next priority. You have certain social needs somewhere in the middle, and then you have self-actualization needs like full nirvana and stuff at the top. I mean, we're still right now getting our basic needs. The societal setup for now is like that, but slowly and steadily, say in the next 30-40 years, that change will come by and we'll see something akin to, say, a lot of European countries, and they might be facing a recession also, which they are, I mean, too, but they have the tendency also.
And about the education, about these majors, right? I think when you look at CBSE's official subjects list, it's over 250 subjects or 200 subjects, but not all of them are available at every school, right? Because no need for them. People don't opt for them. Jab tak they won't be there, students won't know ki this is an option as well, right? So I think hiring teachers, people from a lot of different careers is very important for these educational institutions because if we ask 100 people, I'm sure 40 or 50 out of them won't even know that linguistics is a major you can pursue, right? So in this country especially, because I'm not against anything, our education system or anything, but because I've experienced this firsthand for the last 14 years, it's just that we are not given the education that about different careers, it's like engineer or doctor, science or commerce. It's just strict boxed up subjects, right? I think if someone would have told me that yes, you can go into linguistics, you can go into vocational trainings, I might be doing that. I don't know if I would, but it would have been an option, right? So what is your advice to people who are really passionate about something very unconventional?
I think you need to follow your gut. First of all, it's going to be easy for you to maybe get the first step out of the way if it's like, for example, applying to college, because linguistics is not a very competitive course as such, and a lot of people do that. So this is a very like short-term thing that I'm trying to say, that it'll help you to get into a good college, for example. But when it comes to the long-term prospects of what's going to happen in the future, there's this one thing that a lot of these programs like Shark Tank and stuff always say, that you have to always keep thinking about stuff, because things will get redundant. I mean, in the past 2 years, things like AI, they've completely transformed the way we're actually doing things nowadays. I think a lot of stuff I can, instead of, if I want to memorize a huge list of things for an exam, I can, instead of spending time, 10 minutes, make an acronym for that, I can just tell ChatGPT, just tell me how to memorize it and get it out of the way. So a lot of things are changing that way. So keep thinking about a lot of stuff, and it can be tough, it can be taxing. You might feel that at every step, ye to AI bhi kar sakta hai. But that's a very good thought process, because you know what you will, at the end of the day, know what AI cannot do. So I'm really emphasizing on AI in this case, because it's going to be taking over a lot. So be entrepreneurial, keep thinking, and when I say entrepreneurial, be independent about stuff. That's really important.
So you talked about AI a lot, right? So do you think that people have stopped using their natural brain power after the ChatGPT has released, for example. Like you said that I would have jotted it down, I would have made an acronym or a mnemonic for it to learn it, but now I can just put it on ChatGPT and it will tell me a way to learn it. Do you think that somehow it has an effect on how much we put our brain to thinking?
To some extent, yes. Because, even when I'm memorizing something, there's something happening in my brain which is helping me, helping me recall that this was written on this page and it was about this topic. I'm able to connect it in that way, and the acronym is made in such a way that helps me remember that.
Yeah.
Maybe all of that stuff is getting, that effort that used to be there earlier is getting wasted, and AI is helping to do that. Now, it's a simple example about just memorization for an exam.
So, about entrepreneurship. So many people nowadays want to go to entrepreneurship, majorly some of them for money. Yeah. Right? But no one is teaching entrepreneurship at a very school level, I would say. Right? So because if you are looking at something as a good career option, you need to have the basics right. You have to grow up like that, in that direction. Yeah. Because we get a lot of exposure to the sciences, commerce, humanities, but entrepreneurship in itself is not a subject.
I mean, as an academic subject, I feel still there's a lot of burden for the other 5 main subjects that we have in CA. If I take CBSE curriculum as an example. So adding a curriculum, adding a subject which requires a lot of practical exercise, exposure, talking to people, doing work, internships here and there, case studies. It's a lot of practical work. I think it can be a burden for students also. So having that as an academic subject at this time, because the other subjects already have a big burden, might not be a very viable option. But there's this old saying, where there's a will, there's a way. And there's so many competitions here and there. I mean, I think in Gurgaon, there are like so many competitions you and I would have been to, which have been about tech startups, entrepreneurship boot camps, many universities like IIT, SRCC also in Delhi University, they've been holding a lot of competitions and summits like these. And I've seen students who used to be like, that this is just an extracurricular activity, we should focus more on academics and then just, get that out of the way and that's it. Just relax after that. I've seen them turn to entrepreneurship and these good ideals, and they've been doing good for themselves also, because not only are they studying well, doing good at school academically, but they're also exploring entrepreneurship as a field, not only as a career but as a thought process. Yeah. Because I mean, if you were to watch English, that Laddu thing that she had,
yeah, I know.
Everything can be a thought process, and if you're given the right fuel, then you can
get it.
Yeah.
So if you had to create your own course, I would say, or a subject, what would it be?
Maybe something like something related to road safety, driving. I think very important. That's very important, because I mean, it is true that a lot of people in big cities and stuff, they get into underage driving and stuff, and I mean, ek time to cool lagta hai, but after a point, it's really unsafe, and it's a messed up zone. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's also one of the different areas that we need to introduce. As I was talking about plumbing, electricians and stuff. So yeah.
So what's your big dream in life?
Okay, one very big dream in life I can say that I have is maybe to do something in the domain of waste management.
Oh, okay.
In a country like India, because I mean, so I can talk at length about this, but then, yeah, to keep it short, I think we've grappled with this problem for a long time. Yeah. It's been associated with poor waste management and garbage dumps here and there, people not having the so-called civic sense. So yeah, maybe to do something along the lines of that.
And I think that starts at a very young age. If very young people are taught these things, or they are raised in a sense that these are the basic things that you're supposed to do, I think that generation could bring a change.
For sure.
Right? So after going through the 14 years of school life and going through these college applications and so much of, you have learned so much, right?
For sure.
So what does success mean to you now?
That's a big one. It's very fluid. As in, we might feel that getting a good university right now is like the ultimate form of success for me. It's like paramount. But well, it does not stop there. Even if I would have succeeded there might be certain areas where I would have not succeeded. Right? So if I am not able to achieve my ideals of, say, waste management by a certain age of, for example, 25, I'm not able to do something very good for society, I might feel that, okay, I've not succeeded. But it does not stop there. I have to again reevaluate, look at my plans. As we said, planning has to be self-evaluative, right? It cannot be rigid the whole time, which is basically the essence of it. So yeah, I think always take success as a process.
Yeah.
It would come. You don't need to like be crazy about it. It's gonna come to you if you have the determination. And you're also able to take certain risks. You have to be. You have to have that risk-taking ability.
Sure.
There might be decisions that you take at some points of life which will not help you in the future, but you just help. You realize at the end of the day that they're helping you learn from your mistakes.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's wonderful. If you're able to learn from your mistakes, you're pretty sorted, boss. Like this is right, this is wrong. You get that.
How do you see yourself in 10 years?
That's a good employer's question also, but waste management has been a big part of my thing. My whole journey of discovering what my interests and stuff are.
Okay.
If I'm able to achieve something, if I'm able to get maybe a funding for a small factory in a small, say rural, urban, not an urban part, but a rural part of India, and just that kickstart I'm able to get, I think I'll be really, really happy and content.
What made you so passionate about waste management?
Multiple factors. I think my mom is always really particular about it. Like switching off not only waste management, as in just being conscious about energy efficiency and all those things. Like switching off fans and waste disposal has been like a big thing in our household, and not using too many tissue papers like excessively and stuff, and all these things. And
so, what would be the one advice that you'd give to your class 10 self?
Class 10 self. Oh, don't worry so much. Okay. It's not that deep, and it's not that hard.
Okay.
Because it might feel so, might seem so at that point of time, because you're new to a certain way of life, syllabus, different things happening, but it's not that deep.
In what aspect?
I think in pretty much all aspects of school life.
Okay.
Whether it's studies or relationships, friendships, extracurriculars, emotions. Don't be so worried.
So you touched upon relationships.
Yeah.
Do you think having relationships is a good idea in high school or in school life?
I mean, if it helps you go forward, keeps you focused, if the person that you're in a relationship with gets you, simply just gets you, I think you must go on.
Because at such a young age, it influences most of your decisions in life, right? Which shouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
One aspect of your life having so much of influence over the other aspects of your life is not something someone would want. So because people get distracted, people get depressed, they go off their track because of having these issues. Because it's a very risky place to be, right? It's a very risky place, and it's a very risky time, high school. It's some of your most important years in school.
Yeah.
So do you think taking that risk is worth it?
It might be a risk for some people, it might not be a risk for some people, and some people are actually, they at that point of time, because they don't know that these moments might be defining moments for the next few years of their life.
For sure.
So they might not even view it as risks in particular. And I feel old when I'm seeing this. Like kids nowadays have to be careful. I think after watching, if you would have watched Adolescence series, I think really opened my eyes. So, I mean, I've watched it with my mom and dad and Dadaji. I think it's a must watch. I recommend it to whoever is watching this interview. The ground reality is that there are certain risks involved associated with relationships. Like social media is there. Too much of double meaning in everything. People might misconstrue what is happening in reality. Those risks are always there. And then the footprint, social media footprint that, again, social media is a big part of it, I think. So yeah, if you are a kid who is evaluating all these things and who's just being careful, who's having the fun, who's enjoying the thrill of it, but being careful, I think it's a good thing. It can be really tough for young teenagers these days, but it needs to be done. But yeah, if you're able to find a person who is supportive of your choices, who is who helps you along the way, if you're going through certain problems in academics, or you've lost a match and you're very, very sad, and that person gets you, it's not ghost you, for example. Wonderful.
Very true. I think choosing that person wisely is very important.
Really matters,
right? So you touched upon social media just now.
Yeah.
Do you think, because I think social media has such a huge impact on school life, on such young students, that they tend to shift their entire perspective of life according to
the amount of likes that
amount of likes and posts. I've seen people getting sad that they only got 15 likes on a post. Imagine 15 people coming up to you in real life and telling you that you look nice. Changes your perspective so much, right? Do you think social media, you should be on social media first of all, in high school time or in school life?
Okay, to be on the safer side, actually don't. I would say.
I would say don't.
Side. If it's LinkedIn, important.
Yeah.
I think
LinkedIn is fine.
People should have a LinkedIn. That's like important.
For sure.
When it comes to things like Instagram, I think social media. Let's just get this out of the way. That we're talking about social media to quite an extent. We're talking about Instagram. That it is historically since it came. I don't remember the year it was launched in 2015 or something. It's always been about the app which shows the pomp and show, the glamour in your life. And life is not like that. That's. I mean, if you watch videos from say 2016, 2017 about how different apps were at that time and how people used to talk about it. It used to be like Facebook where you used to put your normal photo and certain achievements. Instagram is always about the filmy moments, romanticized moments of your lives. It is not like that. And eventually, I feel yes, a lot of things are communicated through social media, but it's a lot of times there's also a lot of over communication because you don't need to know about what meme is going on in Bosnia and Herzegovina. I mean, it does not really matter to me.
At some point, you stop living in the moment.
Yeah,
right?
You do.
If I'm going, like I've seen so many people that go to a concert, for example. 10 people, for example, in the concert, 9 out of 10 are recording it on their phones. To some extent, they don't enjoy where they really are. They don't live in the moment. You can see the concert in front of your eyes, but the more important thing for you is to record it and show people that I'm at this concert and I'm enjoying my life, right? And I think 90% of people who show that they are enjoying their life, they're happy in their lives, that is not the case.
They're going through
social media, right? Everyone is a mess in some kind. And I think that's very important. So I think both of our advice would be that don't be on social media.
Yeah, I mean,
it has no upside, I think.
Yeah.
But if you can use it to your advantage, it takes a lot of self-control.
Yeah.
Right? It takes a lot of self-control, and most of the people in that young age are not able to have that kind of self-control on themselves. And most of the people who are on social media are because ki dost bhi hain.
I mean, you know, all those, what you're saying is absolutely right, because I mean, kids are also growing up at an exponential rate now. I mean, we still are technically at that cusp of kids and adults.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the amount of 10th graders, 11th graders you see posting gym life advice, how to do well, how to survive in relationships, woo a girl. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up because I mean, you chill, dude, chill, buddy. You do not have to do all that stuff, right?
Yeah, and I would say the parts of my life, the phases of my life when I'm off social media, it's so much better than the phase of my life when I am on social media. For example, going through pre-boards, going through boards, I was completely off social media. And even after studying for such a long time, I had so much of free time and I had so much of time to do things that I was actually passionate about. Like things as simple as sitting with my parents.
For sure.
People have stopped doing those things. They are always into their phones, and I think it to some extent kind of gets depressing. Right? You never know what's going on in someone's mind. Right? There's no way to tell. And on social media, even more. Everyone is faking who they are. Everyone is faking what their life is, and I think it's something that's not worth it. Worth wasting your time. Worth thinking that you are not something you want to be. Right? So that's about social media, and then give some advice to people who are lost right now, who feel that they don't know what to do in their life, they don't know what to study, for example, or they're not part of a big friend group, which is not important, but at that age might be a significant thing. So they just feel like that they don't belong or they don't fit in. What's your advice?
It's a tough one because a lot of people who feel that they've been lost in a particular point of life. I mean, this sounds deep, but then it's like they feel defeated and nothing can console them. They feel that, that's basically how it is, the status quo, right? But I think eventually finding certain people and talking to them, and that does not have to be an expensive therapist, it can be anyone. I think it's important. And you know, we undermine that because the next argument in line would be that, talking to people, I've heard this a lot of times, how will it help me? I don't have any people to talk to. Well, it's not entirely false that some people are not listening to you, because people actually a lot of times don't care, but it's also not true that people are not there. Some people are actually there who genuinely would care about you and would listen to you, because there are good people everywhere. All these quote unquote matlabi people and people who are fake, who fake it on social media. I mean, they are going through probably the worst phase of their life right now,
for sure.
and we don't know that. And the Instagram stories and reels is basically all that they care about. So it's important that it is uncomfortable for those people who are lost to get out of the way just a bit and look for those people, and they will find those people for sure. Like it's my guarantee. It does happen, and those people would be ready to see through their vulnerabilities, see the talent in you, because everyone has talent. I mean, it's not like anyone is worthless. I mean, you would have something to offer for sure, if it's unconventional. Right?
So I think shifting your perspective towards life.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a norm that having a huge friend group makes you a good person or makes you an extrovert. An extrovert might have one good friend, right? It's not that how many people they know, but how many people they're actually close to. Like, I don't know, if I know 10 people, 8 of them won't pick up my call if I call them at 2 a.m. Right? So it's about those 2 people who do pick up my call at 2 a.m. I think surrounding yourself with those kind of people, it's really important to find those kind of people.
Your actual
friends,
close friends in real life are very different from that green list of close friends on Instagram. For example,
for sure.
So it is right. Very well said. Yeah.
So I think that even if you're lost right now, it's okay to be alone.
Sure.
Because people tend to think that it's something that they're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
I think we both have felt lost at some point of our life.
Definitely.
Like everyone is a mess at some point.
Yeah.
Even if it's academics, it's extracurriculars or friends or everything, or any kind of drama that goes on in high school, everyone feels lost at some point. But I think what you should do is don't think that it's a bad thing or it's something you're not supposed to do. Think of it as something you have to go through once, and the sooner you go through it, the better your life will become.
And I mean, as you say, as I maybe said that in the beginning also, that it's important to toughen up sometimes, because I mean, life cannot be always as simple as you would expect it to be. It's very ideal.
Yeah.
But it's important to understand that you can develop a lot of things when you are when you're alone. I'm talking about the positive things. You can develop some good habits. I think being with myself and not having too much interaction also when I was filling out my college applications or boards and all this whole time, I think it's really helped me to evaluate a lot of other things in my life. Just become more conscious of things that are happening around me, because I can always be updated about this and this sneaker fest or this rapper having this concert at this point of time and getting tickets for it and stuff. But then if I'm not aware of what actually would be the implications on my life, say in the next 2 years, then I think I need to sit back and assess what I'm actually doing. And being with oneself, being lost, so as to say, can actually provide a very good perspective on life, I would say.
I think being in solitude for some time might be the best thing that happens to you.
Yeah.
Right? Because introspection to your actions and retrospection as well to what you did, connecting your dots backwards, I think that's the best thing that you can do.
That's what tapasya is.
Yeah, exactly. So I think staying aware, even if it's loneliness, think of it as solitude.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a matter of perspective.
Yeah, it's a matter of perspective. Shift your perspective. It's not loneliness, it's solitude, and use that solitude to your advantage.
Right.
Because you can think about your life and what you actually want to do, what your perspective toward what your ideologies are, and I think that will help you shape your view of your school life or what you want to do in life, right?
I think for a bigger picture also, I think that thing which you said in the beginning about perspective, I think that really defines a lot of stuff that you can do, can achieve in life potential-wise. So.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah,
thank you for coming. Once you're done with college, we'll do this again.
For sure,
right?
For sure. That's a lot.
We'll see what you're doing in college then. We'll talk about it. Thank you for coming.
Really
Thank you.